Terrified of confrontation, Patrice decided to lean into it.
Yep.
No, it made us better. If you had all 5 of them trashing you, like when you went on stage and somebody heckled you, it was hilarious.
Patrice O'Neal was a comics comic.
I don't want to, but look at her with garbage on. She looks so cute with garbage on.
If you came at him without a firm grasp, he was going to destroy your entire existence.
Why are you laughing? She's outraged.
He was almost too authentic.
Man, this is making me tear up.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. I'm Billy Collins.
Matt Doje.
And this is Magician.
And the Jock.
Guys, so we started this reaction part of the channel with an iconic being, and we missed him.
And the reason we started reactions because our interviews didn't do shit.
Doo-doo.
But anyways, this is Patrice O'Neal, How to Embrace Confrontation.
Right.
Patrice is a comedian, or was a comedian. He's passed away, R.I.P. He's also kind of like almost like a street philosopher. I've learned a lot of my male-female dynamic stuff from Patrice.
And he was so amazing.
He had a segment on the Opie and Anthony show. You remember that back in the day on Sirius? Called they tried to call him the Black Dr. Phil, but they called him Black Phillip or something like that because Dr. Phil's like, oh, you can't do that. But incredibly smart.
Oh yeah, he was so smart.
Funnier than hell, but also incredibly deep thinker. So we'll see how to embrace confrontation.
I remember telling this joke and a phone book comes flying on the stage. Patrice threw a phone book at me. All you heard was and you sit back, it hits the floor, and Patrice said, read it. There's better material in it than what you're saying now.
Yeah, apparently he was a savage back in the day at like the Comedy Store. Patrice.
Crowd starts laughing.
Oh, you know what movie that is? Come on.
Oh, yeah.
In this dark basement known as the Comedy Cellar in New York, some of the best comedians in the world have gathered to sharpen their skills. In the often...
You got John Mayer, Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle. That's quite a photo.
Yeah, that's a good one, I think.
You got John Mayer, one of the legendary guitar players.
Comedians in the world have gathered to sharpen their skills in the often brutal world of stand-up comedy. Bill Burr, Kevin Hart, Jim Norton, Colin Quinn, Greg Giraldo, and Bobby Kelly all said there was no place like the Comedy Cellar to help them develop the thick skin needed in the comedy scene.
That would be an amazing picture to have hung up. That style painting. The Cellar
reserved a table just for comedians to gather and abuse each other over their new haircut or the shirt they wore that day. No one was safe. And to be brutalized at the table was often seen as a rite of passage.
Yeah. That's so awful.
It's so
awful. It sounds terrible.
It made us better. If you had all 5 of them trashing you, like when you went on stage and somebody heckled you, it was hilarious.
Yeah. But in this world, there was one figure who loomed larger than all the rest.
Silhouette.
And then when nights when you were on a roll and you were killing someone at the table, and then he starts walking in, like your heart would sink. Like, oh, here we go. Now it's the real deal. Dad's home.
At the comedian's table in the Comedy Cellar, Patrice was king. Known for his brutal honesty and ability to improvise for hours on stage, Patrice O'Neal was a comics comic through and through. He was the definition of no fucks given, and this attitude not only made him incredibly respected by his peers, but also translated...
Was that Dane Cook right there?
Yeah.
Wow, that is quite a collection. That's Anthony.
Is that Charlie Murphy over there? Right here, is that Charlie Murphy?
No, I don't think so. Jim Norton, the one chick. Look at Burr, by the way, like school picture.
I know, was he running for mayor?
Jeez.
Incredibly respected by his peers, but also translated into some of the greatest stand-up comedy the world has ever seen.
If you give a lie detector test,
which is great, we react to
a man and a woman and ask them the same questions, man, we would pass them both up to a point where it's like, hey, ask a woman, you love your man, you love your family, you love your home, you love what you built. Yep. All right. You see Brad Pitt or Denzel Washington or whatever standing there, would you risk everything you built with your man just to sleep with him? And women, look, they'll go, nah, I wouldn't. And they'll pass the test. They'll be like, they look good, but I wouldn't Ask guys the same thing, you know, boom, love your woman, the kids, the house. Yeah. You see that girl passed out behind the dumpster?
Still funny. So true. I think we said in the original video that Patrice was the definition of post-nut clarity.
Oh, yeah.
Would you risk everything for a passed out woman behind a dumpster? I don't want to, but look at her with garbage on. She looks so cute with garbage on.
His philosophy.
When Patrice was a boy, there was one traumatizing event that would come to shape much of his later worldview.
Yep.
What happened? It was,
I remember listening to this. It's pretty crazy.
it was white and blackness involved.
Oh boy, got yourself
that's-
a piece of white ass.
So here's the story. We're going to look for these other girls that we met. So we started, talking to them, buzz, buzz. So in the car, there was a black girl and a Portuguese girl. And it just went smoothly. Just talking, just chilling, just fucking, things like that. Being young, here's the mistake. We told one of the guy's cousins that this chick, we did this, yeah, we had a fun time 2 weeks ago. He goes and grabs her, and this fucking cocksucker, to this day, I hate this motherfucker. He blackmails her. Says, listen, if you don't suck my dick,
Oh no.
I'm gonna tell everybody. She sucked his dick. After she sucked his dick, she runs through school. She goes into her big brother's classroom who goes to the same school. He gets up and he's chasing that motherfucker around school, trying to kill him. They get him in all.
I got 2 younger sisters. That never happened to me, but I
yeah.
can feel that rage coming up.
Easily.
All in the office. She goes, hey, baby. And then she goes, uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
And I got raped in Boston 2 weeks later.
Oh no.
What?
Oh no.
What? This is why I love my mother like I don't love anybody else. And when I told her it was a white girl, she went, oh. I was in the trunk of a car heading to a state unknown.
How'd you guys get off?
Didn't get off.
You didn't.
Didn't get off. I was 16, she was 15. But we admitted, yeah, we fucked her.
Yeah.
But 16, 15. And that's statutory.
That was statutory.
That's it.
How long?
2 months.
Wow.
O'Neill would remain haunted by the swiftness with which his whole life could be destroyed by a stereotype. Patrice fought back, not by running from the stereotypes, but by reshaping them. Patrice saw the inherent friction caused by our cultural histories and backgrounds. But he was of the philosophy that we can choose to find the funny in our differences, instead of being so damn angry all the time.
I hate how much fun black people get.
It's so true.
Yeah.
Like a lot of conflict is male and female. And I always say, look, men and women, we are equal. We are not the same. A man, if you're a man watching this, your natural instinct, just go ahead and assume a woman's natural instinct is the exact opposite. That's why we complement each other. Learned a lot of this
you don't
from
want
Patrice.
to be.
The only time it gets messed up is when you buy into we are essentially the same thing. We just have different plumbing.
No. You can't. That can't be. It can be right. You can't have two puzzle pieces that are the same. That fit.
Right.
I mean, it's got to. You have.
It's like Velcro. You have one side that has the little hooks, and the other side has the little.
Yeah.
That's why it works.
And racially, man, it's just, I can say anything I goddamn want racially. And white people have to sit there and take it. I am evil, yes. It's like, come on, man. Black people ain't getting no money for slavery. We ain't gonna get reparations. What we did have is language. We got to say anything we want, the way we want, which is the reparations, which is the fact that I can say cracker all day and everybody goes, but because that was my payoff.
Where Patrice undoubtedly left his most
very
unique
smart.
mark was on the topic of women and relationships.
Yep.
And this also happened to be where his words caused the most friction.
Patrice, you're full of bullshit. You know that?
It's crazy. I've heard all these clips. This is from Opie and Anthony.
Yeah.
Clearly, but there's some compilation. We got to listen to it of him triggering women. It is amazing, and he undresses them logically, where they're just like, my feels.
Yeah. Let me ask you a question. Here's a question. Here's a good, serious question. Okay, ladies, if you didn't have a vagina, like say it was a terrible train accident, right? And the doctor was like, we have to remove your pussy right away, or you're gonna die. How would you keep your man past, you get a 2-month guilty, I can't leave the bitch right away because you just lost a train accident. How would you keep your man past that if you didn't have a vagina? Wow. Nothing? You can talk. Suck his dick. Okay, mouth. Asshole. Okay, great. You see what I'm saying? Now, I've been getting pussy bean the whole show, right? But I give women the opportunity to say, I want to make myself worth more. But you just classified yourself as a series of holes, but...
so true.
I'm supposed to treat you special, but you're just a bunch of holes to yourself.
To yourself.
Bruh. Learn how to play Xbox, learn how to play pool.
Good Lord, he's so smart.
That's like a great lawyer. Saying lawyers never ask questions they don't know the answers to. It's very predictable. Not one of them was, blowjob.
Yeah. Anal.
Butt stuff. Y'all just classified yourself as a series of holes, and I'm supposed to treat you special.
He just set it up so well.
You're like, oh my God.
You're like, oh, I'm thinking now.
I heard something that's like, love is real, fairy tales aren't.
No one's learned how to play Xbox, learn how to play pool, tell better stories, get another bitch that got a pussy to come on in.
Much of comedy is tiptoeing the line of what the audience finds acceptable. Then Patrice came along and took a 300-pound cannonball dive past that line. And yet, no matter how far he pushed, he could always win the audience back. He was a master at pulling you into his reality and making you see things from his point of view, even if you completely disagreed with what he was saying.
The great thing about watching that HBO half hour is that it's all like every bit starts with like provoking, unlikable statements. He says something and they're like, huh, and then he kills with that. It's amazing. He's fucking, you know.
It was the Socratic method, according to Patrice. If you came at him without a firm grasp of who you are and what you stand for, he was going to destroy your entire existence, and along the way, force you into self-examination.
I love that.
He's one of those guys, if you say something, you're like, oh, damn. So you know my older brother, Nate.
Yeah.
If I mention, hey, I want anything about technology or a new car, I don't mention that because he loves reading Consumer Reports. He has done the research. The only time I would say that to him is if I've already, like, hey, come check out this car I've already bought. It's already done. It's a lot like that, I think, with Patrice. He is an incredibly deep thinker.
And he lays things out so well. He gives great examples to what you're thinking. Like, I can't express what I think as well as Patrice can.
He's almost
Does that make sense?
He's like a feelings translator.
Right.
Because, you know, it's really hard when you're feeling something, you try to, like, how do I make it into words?
How do I
But he's just like, well, this is why blah, blah, blah. He's thought it through.
Yeah.
The term reality distortion field was coined at Apple in 1981 to describe Steve Jobs, who with a mix of bravado, charisma, charm, and utter dickishness was able to convince himself and others that almost anything was possible.
It's amazing. The men in this world who have gotten the most done, they're always considered an asshole or a dick.
Yeah. Patrice, we talked about
Steve Jobs.
Steve Jobs.
This idea works in a negative way as well. If you are intimidated by someone, they will pick up on it, and very often they will use it to push you around. This idea is perfectly captured in a story Patrice told about being robbed as a boy.
This is why I'm so angry. I'm so quick and angry. Because the guy had been testing me all the way that night. We was playing basketball, and just some dude was around, just bumping into everybody. Okay, it's called the punk test. So, like, it's like 5 phases. I bump into you, then it's like a step on your foot, then it's like a oops, a hard pinch. He goes, hey, yo. I said, uh-oh. So I tried to be hardcore. Right away. I tried to be hardcore, but he had already given me the punk test. I failed miserably.
They couldn't find a better graphic for Patrice.
There's nothing like him.
He didn't need a gun at that point, but he knew it. He already knew.
This moment taught him a valuable lesson. Where most people go their entire lives terrified of confrontation, Patrice decided to lean into it.
Yep.
He was able to talk about race and sex in a way nobody else could, even in comedy clubs, because he was a master at disarming people. First, because he knew himself inside and out, and was completely...
This makes me incredibly nostalgic. They say the good die young.
It's time to be better.
Man.
comfortable telling people about his suitcase of glass dildos or his time spent in prison. And second, because...
How perfect was that with nostalgic? Tell you about his suitcase of glass dildos.
As his incredible sense of humor could shut down any anger you feel towards him.
A violent act of hitting her in the back of her head, her body...
It's called the donkey punch.
Which will then...
Why are you laughing? She's outraged. It's called the donkey punch. It's whole humor that she has no clue what it is.
He not only embraced confrontation,
He has
but
some
sought
great
it
Fox News
out
segments.
because that is where he thrived.
Yeah, this is deep.
Yeah,
There are many great comedians who passed away far too young. But unlike most of them, Patrice had thousands of hours of his musings on life, relationships, women, and happiness, immortalized on the radio show Opie and Anthony, which have now been cataloged across YouTube, allowing the truly unique thoughts of Patrice O'Neal to live on in a way never seen before.
We're seeing that a little bit now with Norm Macdonald. Like people are... I read something. It's a cult. When the cult leader's still alive, when he dies, it turns into a religion.
Right.
Same we saw with Kurt Cobain. With they're immortalized, you know. In a world where up is down, left is right, back is front, and front is back. The guys who just, for him, this is common sense.
Yeah. And he's such a good thinker that it's common sense to him, but to us, it's almost like Greek.
It's profound. I saw a great meme. I'll have to put it up on the screen. It's a long line to the table that says comforting lies. A very short line to uncomfortable truths. Patrice would be at the table with uncomfortable truths.
Yeah.
Allowing the truly unique thoughts of Patrice O'Neal to live on in a way never seen before. As good as Patrice's stand-up was, this is where he was at his best. Sitting in a room with his friends, shooting the shit. His advice for men about the topic of relationships was so different from what anyone else was saying. And eventually, it all culminated with the birth of the Black Phillip Show, with Patrice acting as the Black Dr. Phil for the dozens of men and some women who called in seeking advice. There was a simple message Patrice wanted us to get, and that was to not let anybody walk all over you. For all the talk of talks...
He said something like, look, I don't abuse women. I just don't let women abuse me.
Well, also, too, that I applaud those ladies that would call Opie, because I would listen a little bit of that when I had XM. Women would call in and ask him for advice. And that's the smartest thing to do. What is it you say, don't ask a...
Well, a fish can't teach you how to catch itself.
Right.
If you want to catch a fish, ask an expert fisherman.
Yeah. So go to the source.
I'm telling you, the definition of post-nut clarity.
Yeah. The advice that he was giving women, and they were like, oh.
To a lot of these women, he was like the big brother that they should needed.
And the women that were like, oh, yeah, you're disgusting, you didn't listen to them.
But they had no retort. It was just, I don't like your delivery, or you're mean, or whatever.
Oh, God.
And, oh, man, this is like making me tear up.
Toxic masculinity in society today. Way more men are struggling to assert themselves than ever before. While the entire world is out there trying to tell you where your value as a man comes from, Patrice was the one person to come along and say that it is your own happiness that comes first, before everything else. If you spend your life trying to please others, you will only make yourself and everyone around you miserable.
Amen. If you try to be everything to everyone, you'll be nothing to no one.
Yeah.
It is a crime that Patrice was not a household name, but much of that was his own doing. His pure not give a fuck attitude is what made him so great. But
he had the most don't give a fuck of any comic I ever met. Like
100%.
the most.
100%.
Yeah.
Good and bad, though.
Yeah.
You know, there was a good to it, and there was also some bad to, you know, a lot of things that didn't happen for Patrice probably could have happened, but I think the level of not give a fuck prevented some of those things.
Well, he was almost too authentic.
Yes.
Patrice hated the reality of show business, and he regularly spoke out against it. For Patrice, all that mattered was the truth, and he simply refused to not speak his mind. But at a certain point, it seemed like honesty, integrity, and refusing to compromise became sugar-coated terms for self-sabotage. It's not like he was asked to do ridiculous or immoral things. He simply had to show up and audition for Spike Lee, or not trash the execs at Comedy Central for 30 minutes. But then again, maybe we don't get one without the other. Maybe the guy who would sit there and be contrite in a Comedy Central interview could never be as genuinely funny as Patrice O'Neal, the man who spent all his time with the best comedians in the world. All of whom, without question, said Patrice was always the funniest guy in the room.
R.I.P. to the legend.
Oh my God. God rest his soul. I miss him so much. I miss him.
What they say, real leaders, they have arrows in the front, not in the back.
I miss him. I miss Bernie Mac. Norm. Mitch Hedberg. I mean,
it sucks that people have to be dead and gone before you realize how brilliant they are.
They're just insane. But man, what was that? The people that made that Think
something animation.
Think Big.
Think Big animation.
Think Big. Fantastic job. Go check out their channel, I guess.
That almost made me emotional.
Yeah, I thought it was going to be more comedy, which it was, but it makes you think, man. Just sometimes you just have to stop and look at greatness around you before it's gone.
When greatness goes, it always feels like it's too early.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's true. That is true. But thank God we have
me, you know.
Yeah, sure. Thank God we have YouTube and all these places to watch it.
It's what makes humans immortal is the ability to think and language. Mm-hmm. So I was reading Marcus Aurelius recently. I'm at a loss for words.
Yeah, it was so good. So, guys, do us a big favor. Leave us a comment down below if you like that. I'm sure we're going to get should just let it play, but we can't because of copyright situations. So, just throw that out there as well. Also, do us a big favor. Subscribe to the channel.
Smash the like button.
That is a big fist.
You're talking to that one person that read that thing about these sausage link fingers.
And we'll see you on the next video.
Peace. I'm like, the whole time I'm just like this.
Yeah, I'm like, I didn't want to react.
The bet you were like, oof, that felt good. Jeez Louise, this guy's a farm animal. Did you just grunt?
No.
I've got to hear that.
Is that a grunt?
That was a moan, dude. That was a
whimper.
That was a whimper.
Y'all stay till the end.
I mean,
because the bloopers are always nice. They're fun. They're funny.